Hi and welcome to the Trading Bell. We are right here at Uber offices here in Nairobi to speak to Imran Manji, the General Manager, Uber East Africa, just to understand the nature of how they operate right here in the country and of course more. Please catch this conversation right after his introduction. Imran Manji is the head of East Africa Uber based in Kenya. In his role, Imran is responsible for Uber's business strategy in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. Imran joins Uber from his role as co-chief executive officer of TowerTech Africa, a leading manufacturer and supplier of towers in East Africa. Imran obtained his Bachelor's of Law from BPP University Law School, and he also holds an MA Land Economy and Management Studies from the University of Cambridge. Imran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Maina.
Great. First question is just to talk about the operating environment as the ride-hailing that you are today here, and looking at the landscape in Kenya, which has been evolving over time. What has been your key observations in this market?
Sure. So if you look at the industry of the last few years, there was a lot of volatility with the pandemic, with COVID. Mm-hmm. That also led to different products being launched. So we launched Uber Package, which is a fantastic product, one of the most cost competitive products out there for sending and receiving packages. Real-time tracking, PIN verification. It's perfect for the COVID economy, as it were. And a lot of things have now shifted to delivery, so that's a very well-suited product to the market. What we've also seen in the last couple of years, as people have gone back to work, is that customers are getting more and more discerning in this space. They're looking for a better experience. They're looking for top-of-the-line safety. So we've overinvested in safety technology. Safety is something that is absolutely critical to Uber. Every few months we're launching new safety tech and trying to become the safest possible platform. Last year we launched audio recording. Audio recording lets you use your phone as a recording device in the car. So if maybe you're having a verbal dispute with the driver, to avoid a situation of he said versus she said, you just turn on the audio recording and it lets us hear what's actually happening in the car.
That's on the app.
That's on the app, on the driver's side and on the passenger side. And once you set it up, you can set it up to record all of your trips. So that the driver or the passenger doesn't know that you've started recording. They'll know in advance that you could be recording the trip, but they won't know when you've started to keep you safe.
Great.
The recordings are stored on the phone, so there's no privacy issues, and they're encrypted. Only when you file a safety complaint and then you send us the file can we then listen to it and understand what happened in the car. So that's an extra layer of security that keeps people hopefully happier with the Uber platform.
All right, thanks for that, Imran. And with the growing competition, because we see there's competition coming up, some local and even some in the global scale, how do you plan to maintain your market leadership in Kenya? This is me making the assumption that you are the leaders because everybody talks about Uber. Are you first?
We'd like to think we're the preferred partner for most people that use ride-hailing. And we would like to stay there by ensuring that we always put the customers first. This means we focus on earnings for the drivers, we focus on the best possible experience for customers. As I mentioned, on the safety features, we believe that we are quite far advanced from everybody else in terms of the safety features that we have on offer. And we're not going to rest there. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to keep innovating, bringing new products to the market, and keep building on that.
I'm curious to ask you about your competitive advantage. I mean, looking at all the other competition and everything else, what would you say is your competitive advantage?
I think we have a couple of different ones depending on who the competitor is and what segment we're looking at. In the main sort of core of ChapChap, UberX and UberXL, I think safety is the area that we're very differentiated. We have things like the emergency button. This enables a passenger to press the blue shield, and we will send a emergency security or medical dispatch to them. Uber bears the cost of that, and it gives you that added sense of peace of mind. Similarly, on the driver's side, we've also added in tow trucks. So if a driver is driving, they get a puncture, they can call a tow truck. The tow truck will take them to a safe place where they can address the puncture. We cover the cost of that. So these safety features help us be very differentiated, and hopefully the public is aware of that and appreciates the different value that brings. We also have other products that are quite different. So I mentioned Uber Package. Fantastic way of sending packages or receiving packages across across the city. Imagine a small business that is selling glasses, for example. They're able to send multiple deliveries using Uber package. They don't have to wait for a rider that they know to come. They can just send them out, track them individually, and then they know that the customers received them because the PIN verification ensures that the delivery driver and the recipient have met. And then recently we launched Electric Border. So Electric Border is our electric motorbike product, which is the first zero emission product in Africa that Uber has launched. It is probably the largest single fleet of electric bikes in the country. It uses a battery swapping model, so you don't have the range anxiety. A driver can just pull up, swap the battery and keep going. So you're getting, an environmental benefit of no pollution, no CO2, no nitrogen oxides, and no noise. You're getting a driver benefit of range and lower operating costs because electric is cheaper to operate. And on the passenger side, it's not noisy, there's no vibrations, and it's cheaper than any other comparable motorbike product. So it really is a fantastic value proposition.
Great. Let's move on to the regulatory environment, and I'm sure you've had your share of operations and regulations that are in around that. And I wanted to ask you, how are you navigating the landscape here in Kenya, especially in light of the commission cap regulations that are there imposed by the NTSA?
Sure. So the NTSA released regulations in October 2022. We are fully compliant with those regulations. One of the headline features of the regulations is that service fee is capped at 18%. So our service fee in Kenya is capped at 18%. We are fully compliant. It does mean that a regulation cap, service fee cap like that, does potentially limit how much we can invest in the market, because traditionally our service fee would be 25%. But in this market, it's now 18%. So we are compliant, but we are also making the regulator aware that, we want to work hand in hand to ensure the best for the country and for the economy. Now, if an 18% cap means that we're not able to invest in as many features as maybe the customers and drivers would like, this is something we're letting the NTSA know.
So Imran, just on that, there could be someone who's watching and saying, I want, or have been considering, joining Uber and all that, and they may want you to break it down for them, the pricing structure that you use, so that at least they can understand if they're considering that, what is it that you would, they would be looking at.
Sure. So when a passenger uses the app, if they are paying 1,000 shillings, 180 shillings, 18% comes to Uber, 820, 82% goes to the driver. This excludes pass-through costs such as parking. So for example, when you go to JKA and the driver has to pay 100 shillings for the parking, we will add that on to the fare. The passenger will pay for it and it will pass straight through to the driver. Because they're then paying
the parking fee.
So those we don't count as earnings. What we look at earnings is excluding the pass-throughs. Of the earnings, we take 18%. And what we always say is, look past the headline amounts. What value are you getting for the 18% that you're paying? With Uber, you have state-of-the-art security features. 2 sets of background checks for each driver that comes on board. 2 sets of vehicle inspections. You have facial recognition technology. You have insurance on all of the trips for the passenger and the driver, personal accident insurance. You have the emergency button. You have audio recording. You have 20 different safety and security features to make it as safe as possible for you. So yes, other apps you may be paying 15%. But what is the value you're getting?
Absolutely.
For me, that is always where we're trying to hit. We want to be the best platform for earners, which means we provide the most possible value.
Okay, thanks so much for that. And I think that's a cutting edge in itself. Let's talk about your driver and ride experience, which is quite critical as well. And I wanted to ask you about the safety, which is top priority for most people. They want to feel safe. And I think we've heard sentiments, I may not mention the names, of other apps where people were complaining, no, you're not safe. And sometimes they could not be substantiated, but people have spoken out there. And I wanted you to endear to your customers, how are you ensuring that anybody getting into the car, male or female, that they are safe?
So I would say we take the journey right back to the start.
Yeah.
Before a driver can be onboarded onto Uber, they need to have a CID inspection, police clearance document, and a private company background check.
Okay.
That checks additional databases as well. Every vehicle has 2 inspections, an NTSA inspection and again a private inspection. And then before a driver joins, we also run facial recognition to make sure that this driver has not been on the platform before and has been banned. That's before a driver is even onboarded. Once a driver is onboarded and they're dispatched to the passenger, what's going on? Say, you registered as a driver, you passed the onboarding criteria, and then you gave me your app and said, okay, I go pick up the person. On Uber, that wouldn't work because we have real-time facial ID recognition on the driver. So when we're dispatching a driver, they have to take a selfie, and that's compared with the algorithm to make sure it is who they say they are. So when we're dispatching you, unless you've copied the person's face, it should be the person that we've sent. And then from the passenger's point of view, before they get in the vehicle, they can do something called PIN verification, where we will send a PIN to the passenger and to the driver, and the driver has to enter that PIN before the trip starts. That ensures the passenger's in the right car. You can imagine if they get in the wrong car and now they're going to go somewhere else and feel unsafe. Whereas with PIN verification, we won't let the trip start until we get that PIN.
Wow.
That's when you start, before you start the trip. When you're on the trip, there's such a great little feature. It's called a ride check. You'll often notice it on an Uber trip. You're driving along, maybe you're stuck in traffic, all of a sudden it pops up on your screen. Are you okay? Do you need security? Do you need emergency assistance? So we're calculating on the back end how long the trip should take, what the traffic flow pattern should be. If all of a sudden you've stopped, 9 times out of 10 it's traffic or an unexpected accident. But that one time when you do need it, we're surfacing all of the security features. So security features such as share your trip details with your friends and family, so they can keep track of you real time. Features such as the emergency dispatch, and such as audio recording. So from start to finish, we try and make it as seamless as possible.
Great. Let's go to the driver's side as well of things, or the owner's side of things. And there could have been concerns, especially in our country where we don't have stabilized fuel prices here and there. And so sometimes we have this kind of hikes that have happened in the past couple of months. And Uber drivers have come out saying, hey guys, we need to do this and that, or there's a trend, or add some more, or something of that sort, or cut on your commissions. A lot of sentiments coming up. How are you addressing this to ensure that the earnings of the riders are incentivized so that at least they don't feel decycled in any way and you still want to run a sustainable business?
Sure. So this is something that is really at the heart of what we do. We are constantly running driver earnings models, which look at how much a driver is making per trip against the expected costs. When there is a large variance, for example, in the fuel price, we will look at adjusting. But it has to be taken in the context of the entire economy. Right now, for example, there's a cost of living crisis, which means that if we sort of increase prices by 20%, a driver may earn 20% more per trip, but then take 30% fewer trips and have lower earnings overall.
Absolutely.
So we're always trying to balance and find the best solution. Last year, there was a lot of volatility in the fuel price. So we responded sometimes with a price increase, but other times what we did is we took from our own pockets and invested in incentives for the drivers. So the more trips they do, the more they earn. So in that way, the passenger is buffered from the increasing costs, whereas the driver is still compensated for the increasing costs through incentives. So we're constantly playing that balancing act and trying to reach the perfect point for drivers and for passengers.
On that same thing, by the way, sometimes I've taken up a ride and I see I have some discounts. Now, is it cut on the driver's side, or how is it that?
Never. In that hypothetical example, 1,000 shilling fare, if you got a 50% off, the driver should be making 820 on the trip, whereas Uber takes 180. In this example, the passenger would pay the driver 500 shillings, And as soon as that trip is complete, in the driver's wallet, there'd be the remaining 320 shillings credited to their account straight away. So if in effect Uber didn't make a dime on that trip, it actually cost us 320 shillings to give that promotion. So then the question is, okay, well, how does the driver access that money? We recently introduced early cash out, which is our system for a driver when they have money in their wallet, you know, request for the funds, and within a couple of hours they have it in their M-Pesa account. And it's good to go.
So it's quite immediate. So these guys who were trying to tell us, hey, you see I got a discount, do something of that sort, we shouldn't even bother.
I think that's a little bit misleading.
Yes.
I can't speak for the other apps, but on Uber, the discounts are always credited immediately to the driver's wallet. Immediately.
Excellent. Thanks you for that. Let's talk about sustainability, and I have news that you have introduced a sustainable product in Kenya. I wanted to know what product that is and how you're doing this.
Sure. So if we look globally at Uber has a target of being zero emissions by 2040. So around the world, every single vehicle on Uber has to be a zero emissions vehicle by then, which is a Herculean task.
It is.
It's not going to be easy, but we got to start somewhere and we got to aim high. So our first electric product in Africa was launched here in Kenya last year in September.
Oh, great.
So it is an electric motorbike product, and it's a really fantastic one because it's a win-win-win. Passengers, drivers, and the environment. On the driver side of things, electric motorbikes are cheaper to run. They're a little bit more expensive to purchase, but they're cheaper to run because you don't have the fuel price and there's fewer moving parts. So drivers benefit from lower operating expenses, and it's a little bit easier to drive as well because you don't even have a clutch, you don't have the vibrations, you can enjoy the ride a little bit more. On the passenger side of things, it's cheaper than any other ride-hail motorbike product that we've seen to our knowledge. It's zero emissions, which also means it's very little noise.
You're right.
You can talk on the phone while you're driving, and it's also available in the CBD. The CBD has historically been somewhere where motorbikes don't typically operate too often.
You're right.
But electric border, that's the name of our product, is available in the CBD. To and from the CBD, you can take rides. And then the environmental benefit is, we have a country where we're blessed with an 85% renewable grid. All of that renewable energy put into the bikes to move them instead of using fossil fuels, zero emissions, no particulate matter, reduced air pollution, reduced noise pollution. It's fantastic. And we've actually, in the last 3 to 4 months, we've offset the equivalent of planting about 25,000 trees. So we'll keep you posted as that number goes, aiming towards Aberdare's forest.
Yes.
I'll let you know when we get there.
Thank you. And as we come to the tail end of this conversation, a lot of people who use your, hailing app, Uber, would also want to know, okay, all this cash that we give Uber, because people always will say that, do you do something else with it? Any CSR activities that you guys do? Or are you doing anything locally as well?
We do. At a global level, we do, especially on the larger events that happen in the macro economy, but at a local level as well. For example, in the last general election, not many people know this, but the police officers and the other security officers that work at the election stations will often do incredibly long shifts. 12 hours, 18 hours is quite common. So we partnered with a charity called Team Pankaj, and we delivered free of charge to the charity and to the police 27,000 meals across all of the polling stations in Greater Nairobi, multiple meals, lunch and dinner, to all the police officers. So there's several local initiatives like that where we try and get involved and give back to the community.
Impressive. Just remembered something else where sometimes as a customer you would go in and wonder whether this guy or the driver that you have there, whether he has had some rest and all those kind of things. I wanted you to address that. How do you ensure that we don't have someone who is super overtired, and also address the issue of lady drivers? Because some people would prefer that, and maybe the drivers themselves would want to feel safe, especially if they're lady drivers. Those two things, could you address on that?
So again, it's something that Uber has considered. Every driver on the Uber platform is set with a driving hour limit. So once they get to that limit, they are forced off the app for at least 6 or 8 hours so they can rest, and then before they're allowed to rejoin. So there cannot be a situation where they've been driving straight for 14 hours because the app won't let them.
Yeah.
So if ever you want to take a 12-hour trip on Uber, it's going to cut you off after 12 hours. You won't be able to get to hour 14 or 16. And on the women driver side, this is something that is incredibly important to us. We want the gig economy to be accessible to everybody.
Absolutely.
Women drivers actually have a setting on their app that lets them choose women passenger preferred.
Yeah.
So that women passenger preferred feature then lets us try to the best of our ability to dispatch them only trips from women. So for example, you can imagine a women driver at night.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to necessarily get into a car with a man.
Yeah.
She turns on that feature, and we will try as best as we can to only give her female passengers.
Female passengers. Okay. Wow, lovely.
It's a driver side feature.
Okay. So in closing, what are your expansion plans? Because I've noticed maybe there's some places you would go and you're like, oh my Uber can't get anybody around here. Any plans that you have in the offing?
I think, as a general policy, we don't discuss expansion plans until they happen.
Of course.
And then we'll let you know when we're there. But I think there's still a lot of scope for expansion and consolidation within the existing cities.
Okay.
We are growing our product portfolio with the new products I mentioned. There's a lot of headroom for a lot of them to grow. We have growth within the existing cities.
Okay.
We launched Eldoret, Nakuru, Naivasha, and Kisumu last year. So we need to grow these cities. Throughout the whole region, we're also expanding. So there's a lot of investment in this region.
Okay. My final question, definitely, as you noticed, my lapel has the Nairobi Securities Exchange on it. Of course, we enable people to own part and parcel of your company. Are you looking one day to cross-list? Because I know you're listed somewhere else.
Those conversations are far above my pay grade, unfortunately. But I think Uber just got added to the S&P 500. So I think the US listings are probably where we're going to stay for the time being.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Imran.
Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
Great. There you have it. That's Imran, and he's talking quite optimistic that, listen, guys, we are still on, and we are not going to leave you just like that, and we will give you more and more better value as the hailing app for your favorite ride. Thank you so much for your time. I leave you now with the markets.